Hey everyone, welcome to Use Garage. Today I'm going to be showing you how to repair your DISA valve with no money at all. In my case, I have a 2004 BMW 325 Ci. My engine code is M54. For this project, you'll need a 10mm nut and a 10mm bolt. First, you can take your mass air filter off, and then your intake boot. Just the first part. You don't have to take the whole thing apart, just the first part. And then later, you can have access to the two bolts that hold in the DISA valve, which is I believe a T40. In my case, it's a T30, but just try it out. Make sure to not run the bolts. And then after you take those off, you can work the DISA valve slowly out. Make sure to work it at an angle. Toe in a little bit at the far end so that you have space and clearance to take it out. You can also move the vacuum line at the back so that it doesn't get in the way. Once you have the DISA valve off, you can inspect it, make sure there's no broken parts or anything. And then you can use a dental pick to pick the back part open to expose all the internal components. Once you have the back part open and you have access to the internal components, you can take the metal washer off. It does take some prying, so be patient and make sure to not break it. Once you take the metal washer off, you can take the yellow piece off. You can use a plier and take it off. Now it's time to take the pin off. You can use a dental pick to slowly pry the edges, and then once you get enough clearance, you can use a pair of pliers to pull it out. It's important that it was tight before because this sits in the intake manifold and you don't want the pin going lost in the engine. Once you have the pin off, you can slide the flap off. Make sure to know which side the flap goes on. As you can see on the yellow piece, it's a hex shape, and on the other side, the flap, there's a hex shape socket as well. So over time, through wear and tear, the yellow piece wears down and rounds the hex shape. So when the yellow shape turns, the flap doesn't turn. So right here, we are looking for a bolt that's long enough so that we can fit it through the inside of the yellow piece and then screw onto the nut we're going to put in the flap. Make sure to measure it as well, and so that you don't end up having a nut that's, a bolt that's too long. From our measurement, it was around 3 mils, so yeah. We also had to find a nut that was thick enough so that it doesn't come out of the flap. Right here is where we measure the length of the bolt that we got. So you want to make sure that it perfectly fits, or else you're going to end up having it too long. So right here, this is where we scrape down the inner plastic to grind it down so that it can fit the 10mm nut. And make sure to keep the shape of it so that you can fit the 10mm nut, and don't be afraid to grind it or scrape it in my case. Once you get enough clearance to fit the bolt in a little bit, you can try using a the head of a 10mm bolt and just hammer it slowly. And then you can also try using hairdryer to heat it up, as plastic will tend to expand when heated. So I ended up using just the nut and hammering it in, and as you can see here, I'm just testing it to see if it'll come out, but it won't. Here is the finished product for the flap and the nut. The next part is to modify the yellow piece so that we can fit the screw in. Here we are cutting the part where the hex shape starts so that the bolt can go through. I am just scraping the bottom of the yellow part off to clean it up a bit, and then testing the bolt if it'll go through freely. Ended up having to scrape the inner of the yellow piece to make some clearance for the bolt to go through freely. I suggest using a power tool or a drill. Then you can put in a screwdriver bit, and then you can just screw through it. Here I'm showing you the finished product for both pieces. As you can see that we screw the yellow piece to the flap, that's where the nut inserts. Once we assembled everything, you can see that we're testing it and then it works. Before your final assembly, you can put some grease to lubricate the yellow piece and the body. And then as well, I would suggest putting some gasket RTV black by the screw head so that the oil doesn't come through there. Thanks for watching. Comment, share, and subscribe for more videos like this.